the last thing that we're going to take a look at today in this module is tolerance-based machining. Now, one of the things that's new for SOLIDWORKS is model-based definition, or MBD. And what we have the ability to do is we have the ability in SOLIDWORKS MBD to come through and put on dimensioning, put on holes, put on tolerances. And then if I look at this view from a plan view, and let's say we change this to a white background, you can see that all of these holes and all of this information has tolerances applied to them. Versus putting it in a traditional 2D drawing and then having to look between the drawing and the model, we have the ability to put all of that on our screen. And as I move from view to view, you can see I have different tolerances for different bits of information depending upon whether it's inside a hole, outside a hole. This is actually a tapered hole. But all of these tolerances, as you can see, there's different. There's some that are plus or minus 20 thousandths. This is plus or minus 10. If we go back to this view, you can see that we have 20 and 10 and 20. Let's say we go to this one. It's a 1,000th tolerance. Now, you may be asking yourself, why does this information matter to me? Because I just program it and machine it. Well, the reason that this applies and the reason we're talking about it is traditionally if we were going to say take this hole right here and we look at the print and we know it's 1,000th of an inch. At 1,000th of an inch tolerance, you're not going to come in with just a drill and drill it and expect it to work in tolerance, because that's not how machine tools work. We would have to center drill it, then drill it, and then either bore it or ream it to size. Well, that changes the scope on how we're going to machine the part. One of the things that is new in CAMWorks 2016 is the ability for CAMWorks to identify the tolerances that are put on the model from model-based definition. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and just turn these off. We know that this hole is a tight hole. And if I come over to CAMWorks, we have two options for tolerance-based machining. And one of the cool things about this is, if you remember from the first module that we went through, when we assign these features, CAMWorks studies what all these holes and sizes and features are, and then it comes back and it puts in the correct center drills and drills. Well, as you can see by default, we have center drill and drill through everything we have down here. And we don't have anything that's saying, hey, we need to drill and ream this hole. The tolerance-based machining that comes in CAMWorks 2016 gives us the ability to tell CAMWorks, hey, go look at all that information for me and then come up with a plan to make the machining work. So I click the machining button and now it's going to run through, compare what the tolerances are in the model versus what we already have programmed, and then add anything new that needs to be custom. Once CAMWorks has finished running through the tolerance-based machining, you'll notice that our tree has changed a little bit. If we look at the operations we previously worked with, you'll notice now we have a couple different center drills, a couple different options for those, where before we just had one. Then you'll also notice that we have some different drill diameters than we had before, but more importantly, we have some ream strategies here as well. And what it did is it looked at these holes specifically, and based on their tolerances, it knows that it cannot just do a traditional drill to size. So it automatically changed our drill strategies to use a different center drill, a different entry drill, and then a ream to get it to the size we want. You'll also know that the roughing and the contouring has changed, where we have quite a few more of those as well, and that's going to be based on meeting the tolerances that were defined in the part. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, how does it know what tolerances to use? Where it knows what tolerances to use is based off of the UI that comes with tolerance-based machining. This list right here determines what tolerances and what strategies we use. And you can see from the standard hole for drill, we have different tolerance ranges for different strategies. So if it's up to 2,000ths of an inch, we want to bore it. 2,000ths to 20,000ths, ream it. 20,000ths to 1 inch, drill it. And this tells CAMWorks that when I look at the tolerances in the model-based definition, do this if it meets these criteria. And you have the ability to customize or make changes to any of those tolerance ranges. You also have the ability to tell it how you want it to run the following processes. For example, the machine to mean is going to automatically take the mean tolerance and then adjust the toolpaths accordingly. Now again, you may be asking yourself, why does that matter to me? It matters to you because generally when we look at those tolerances, traditional CAM programming tells us we either need to change the diameters of the SOLIDWORKS model, we need to make sketches that relate to that, and we end up doing all of the work, creating all this extra geometry for this part to make it machine to the mean. What CAMWorks has done is create paths and options to where it reads all of that information and automatically makes adjustments accordingly. So if I look at, let's say, this rough mill here, we'll open it up and we go to roughing. All of this information has been adjusted, as well as the allowance, to machine to the mean tolerance here. So it automatically adjusts all of this math for us. So we don't have to make changes to the model. We don't have to have that human interaction of making sure that we draw it correctly. And we also don't risk the chance of having an error in the part where we misread the tolerance and we machined it incorrectly. So this is one of those tools that is a fantastic tool for dealing with parts that have high tolerances and making sure we catch everything based on how the engineering team wanted their parts to come out. With that that covers everything for Module 2 of CAMWorks, which is the editing and making changes to the tools. Please stay tuned for our next module, which will be understanding the technology database and teaching CAMWorks how to program, how we program in our current day-to-day shops. Thank you.